Want to be part of the biggest service design event of the year? The Service Design Global Conference 2025 takes place October 15th to 17th in Dallas and online, and we're giving you the chance to win 2 free online tickets. All you need to do is sign up to our Design Compass newsletter to learn how in the coming weeks. You'll find the link right there in the show notes for this episode. Don't miss 3 days of fresh ideas, hands-on strategies, and global connections. Check the show notes, sign up, and you could be joining SDGC 25 online.
Like, I've run my entire business based on my intuition. And so if I sniffed them out on that call and I was like, okay, you seem normal, you seem cool, and you've got a nice portfolio that I've looked at, you're good. I'll put you in, kind of thing. And actually it worked really well. But what you realize is that if you're going to scale your company, you can't be on every interview.
Exactly.
And you have to create processes and systems around it.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of This is HCD. My name is Gerry Scullion and I'm a human-centered service design practitioner based in the beautiful city of Dublin, Ireland. Today on the show we've got Sara Fortier. Now, Sara is the CEO of Outwitly, a UX and service design talent solutions organization based in Canada. And we cover a lot of ground in this episode, but a few things really stuck out to me. There's 3 things. Number 1, the founder honesty. You'll see that Sara, when we were speaking, is really, really refreshingly, openly and honest, okay? They don't have all the answers, but we speak about the complexities and the complications of building a business around your family. So, like myself, it's difficult. So we speak about that fumbling early stages of growing a business and into the larger contracts and where they currently are now at the moment. So it's a really candid way of looking at starting a business. The second point is designing for scale. Now we unpack what it actually means to do this, from leaning into your gut in the early days and then really formalizing those processes to set you up with the ability to scale your organization. And Sara really is open about this, and it's fantastic to see and hear. And the third piece is what recruiters really look for. So if you're out there in the market at the moment looking for a job, Sara is in this industry and gives absolutely, gold nuggets being dropped every couple of seconds in this episode towards the end, especially where we speak about what recruiters are looking for, what you need to do to give yourself the edge. So if you're in the market for a job, this is a great episode. So be sure to stay to the very end and listen to that as well. So if you're thinking about contracting, building your own team, or just curious on how to design and how recruitment intersect, I know you're going to love this episode. And also, we speak about Sara's got a new book that is coming out, and we speak about that at length because I have had the opportunity to read parts of this book, and I believe it is going to be an absolutely blockbuster. So I know you're going to enjoy it. Learn more about the book in the episode, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Chat to you soon. Let's start off. You're based in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That's correct. But maybe for our listeners, tell us how you introduce yourself at dinner parties.
Well, what do I say at dinner parties? I don't go to dinner parties because I'm a mom of 2 and I have a little baby and a 5-year-old. But yeah, essentially I am the CEO and founder of Outwitly, and I'm a trained designer and design strategist. Went to School of Industrial Design, learned about designing 3D products way back when. Oh yeah, it's a great upbringing into the industry, I think.
Yeah.
And Outwitly is a UX and service design talent solutions partner. So we started as consulting and now we're doing more talent. And so I lead my company.
Yeah, because when we were chatting there in the prelude, we spoke about you made your first hire. Was it 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, 2020.
So a bit of rapid growth, both personally and professionally, for Outwitly.
Yeah.
So what was that like? You mentioned there that you were on the tools, and I think you mentioned that you were you had your first child. Is that right around that same time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically I started the company in 2016. Really, It was just me. And I was doing, different consulting jobs for different clients that, I'd met through referrals or different companies I used to work with. And then I had my son in 2019 and realized like, okay, this maybe isn't so sustainable to be pregnant and having a baby and all the things. So I hired my first employee, who was actually my best friend. And she wasn't a designer. She was in communications. So she kind of did a lot of the admin and the marketing stuff while I continued to do the design work. And then just so slowly sort of grew from there and kind of kept the consulting piece, going. And then, I was getting asked a lot like, hey, Sarah, we love you so much. Could you come work for us full time for 6 months? And I was like, yeah, no, I have way too many other projects on the go. But I have a friend. And so I started hiring contractors and placing them full time within our client organizations and realized there was business there. And over the last few years, that has kind of taken over the business, and it's a really scalable model. So that's where we're sitting now.
I mean, we could probably speak about the growth of Outwitly and the rebrand. But with that piece that you mentioned there about hiring talent, and effectively extending the relationship beyond friendship into contracting and into that whole world, how did you navigate the stakeholder pieces between businesses and contractors in the very early doors? What was that like? Because you probably didn't have any legal representation. You didn't have any contracting pieces.
Yeah. I mean, we did, like, I was, when I started the company and started hiring people, my parents are business owners, and they always said to me, get contracts. Like, you have to have contracts in place. So I did have contracts in place, like, early on.
Okay.
I think the stuff that I didn't know and that I was like fumbling my way through with was on the client side, actually. Like, what do the SOWs look like? And what do those contracts look like? And I would just like willy-nilly sign pretty much any contract that came in front of me, being like, yep, sounds good. That's some work for us.
Work.
I, Google templates for how to draft a SOW, and I'd kind of put it in front of them and be like, does this look like it's right? So that part was like a learning curve. And then the more you do it, the more that you see too, you just learn and you make it better. But on the people side, I mean, that's an interesting part, because when you start a business, when you're passionate about design, you think that you're going to be spending your time designing or researching. And what you learn pretty quick is, if you're growing the company, you're not doing any of that stuff. You're basically managing people, making sure everybody's okay, learning your own demons about maybe why you're micromanaging people, or, why you do the certain things that you do, and you kind of have to face those and grow as a person in order to be able to grow your company and be better for the people that are working for you, and also attract better people.
That's really interesting. Most people don't really call that out as a thing when you start running a business, that it kind of shows up your own personal and potentially professional flaws as well. Tell me how you explored that as an individual. Good to know that.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always been interested in like the coaching, personal development side of the world. And so I started getting, dabbling my toes into some business coaches or life coaching things that did help me. And at first they were sort of group oriented. And then I realized that it would be much better if it was individual. So I have had business coaches over the last probably 3 or 4 years. And I think that has really helped me grow and be better, a better leader. And, so I think without them, it would have been a much longer slog, and I'm still learning. You never stop, but, they helped for sure.
One of the things you mentioned there, and I'd love to get your understanding of that, is when you hire talent and you're looking to make sure that they can do the job, but they're also reflective of the brand that you've built and the same kind of mindset, if you want, like an extension of Sara, How what's your recruitment process? Because you also have to make sure then that they're able to adapt and still do the job for your client.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a really good question. And I think if I'm being honest, in the beginning, it was me. I would just, find people online, message them, be like, hey, your profile matches what I'm looking for. Can we talk? And it was really easy for me to talk to pretty much anyone because they'd look at my LinkedIn profile. They'd be like, oh, wow, she's been doing this for X number of years and she's the CEO of Outwitly. Company looks cool. So it's really easy to get the calls with the talent. And I would just ask them questions, the way I would interview any UX designer or service designer, tell me about yourself, background, types of projects you've worked on. And I was always looking for the people who were the kind of complex thinkers, the people that could look at a problem and they'd get excited by a problem. And then they would have a more of a real process around how do they go about solving the problem, versus more the glamour stuff that it can be very sexy and kind of prevalent. And it was a gut check. Like I've run my entire business based on my intuition. And so if I sniffed them out on that call and I was like, okay, you seem normal, you seem cool, and you've got a nice portfolio that I've looked at, you're good. I'll put you in, kind of thing. And actually it worked really well. But what you realize is that if you're going to scale your company, you can't be on every interview.
Exactly.
And you have to create processes and systems around it. And then also getting into the staffing and talent world, there is like a full process around recruiting. So now we have more things in place, rubrics and things that we're checking for. But at Outwitly in particular, that problem solving piece, also, are people organized? Do they have high emotional intelligence? I think are other things that we are looking for.
So for talent out there looking to get a gig, if your business model is kind of expanding as opposed to, contracting, I'm speaking from behalf of Outwitly here, you must see a lot of people and you must get exposed to
tons
service designers and user experience people. If you had to give us a top 3 kind of things that you've noticed that people are doing wrong, that there are opportunities for them to use those pieces to get an edge. I'm putting you on the spot here because we haven't.
I know. I have to think there what people are doing wrong.
It stands for a minute. I
think. One of the things is like optimizing your LinkedIn profile.
Really? Okay.
Like putting a ton of detail in your LinkedIn profile.
So, we'll take this one a little bit slower. Okay. So optimizing your LinkedIn profile. I have a LinkedIn profile. I put all my stuff up there. Is that optimized?
Well, I guess I haven't looked at it.
No, but just
in theory, it's basically what you see a lot of the time is when people are, we're a recruiting firm, so we're going out towards to build pools and build a pipeline of talent, right? But we're looking for people. Are they marked as open to work? Do they have the description under the headers of their role, right? Do they have bullet points there? I mean, this is really basic stuff, but you'd be surprised at how often that's neglected, or people are just kind of like, well, the roles are there and I worked at big companies, so why do I need to explain what I did? So I would say, have a profile picture, have all your roles there in your bio, use keywords of things. Like if you're an accessibility designer, make sure that's mentioned because you're searching in LinkedIn for keywords. If you're a freelancer, an independent contractor, write those keywords in because, you don't know how people are trying to actually find you. So from my perspective, when we're looking for people, that is what I would say is because the first touch point is for us LinkedIn. Then you move to the resume and the portfolio, right? And so, and you kind of have to pass this first set of checks before you're going to get an interview. And so if you don't do good on those things, you're just not going to meet anybody, right?
Let's talk about photographs on LinkedIn. Because what about if you're a creative or if you're in the ad world and you've got a profile photo? What's your thoughts when they do the side profile?
That's okay. That's all right. That's fine.
That's fine, is it?
Yeah, that's fine. I think, that's more like, you're just thinking this person's creative and you're looking for designers. Yeah, I guess I would say like maybe no avatars or, that sort of thing. It's just like that to know that you're a human.
Okay. So they've got a grasp that shows that they've got an intent around their own personal brand is probably
Yeah.
going to be a little bit of
Yeah.
an edge.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
So once they pass the Sara Fortier check for
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you're going to slip into the DMs, as they would say. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean that wouldn't be true if you were just applying online to a job posting, right? Because first you're going to be, you send your application through, but someone is vetting you at some point, right? So they're looking at either your resume or LinkedIn, and then and portfolio is a big piece that we can probably talk about too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the resume also needs to describe. I think so many people just put generic bullet points. Conducted usability testing. Oh, okay, great. Like, what does that even mean? Don't we all do that? Like,
yeah,
give some color about what it is that the project was about.
Sure.
Some context there in your resume, I think, is really helpful. And then from there with the portfolio, this is such a typical answer, but show some storytelling, some process, some thinking. It doesn't have to be, and I would say, please don't riddle your portfolio with a ton of words, because I am not reading those words. I'm basically scrolling through quickly, looking at, do they have some headers that make sense for what, starting with some discovery work and maybe some journey maps or some personas. I take a quick look at those. I'm like, okay, generally this looks good. Then I'm like, okay, have they thought about IA? Did they do user flows? Was there some conceptual thinking there before they then got into maybe more on the design side? And it depends on the role you're looking for too.
Yeah. Let's talk about when you make contact on LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
Because, on the other side of the fence, when you do get these messages, and they're, sent through Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, and they're AI generated.
Some of them are.
Go like, whatever. And sometimes the responses you can get back from people are one word, like no.
Yep.
Yes. So walk me through how people should respond to these pieces. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's getting more and more difficult to know what's real and what's just.
I mean, there's not enough time to personalize the messages when you're recruiting for a role that, let's say, you need to turn around candidates for in a week, right? So you need to sort of blast message 100 candidates who fit the criteria. And usually
Sales Navigator, is that the tool that you would use?
We use Recruiter, LinkedIn Recruiter. It's another LinkedIn tool, but it's more talent focused.
Okay.
So basically you build out a pipeline and then you send messages. It is right now, we still do it manually. We're looking into where to augment with AI. But as you said, when you start using the AI scripts, especially the LinkedIn AI scripts, they're just not there yet. Like they sound still too manufactured, I guess.
Yeah.
It's getting better. So, but I think you're looking for real details, like, what is it, a contract? What are the dates, start date, end date? Is it option to renew? Is there a description of what the project is about? And then you assess for yourself, like, is this interesting to me? And decide whether to message. I mean, honestly, a lot of people aren't looking for an opportunity, or they don't like some of the specifics from the job that you send. So that's fine that they say no. We always say, okay, hey, but can we keep you in mind for future things if we think they're good?
What happens then from your business perspective? Like if you are sending out 100, 200 messages and someone kind of comes back and says, yeah, that's cool, but not right now.
Yeah.
What do you do with that response? Is that possible to, I guess, create a more of a human to human experience?
Yeah.
What does that look like? How do you scale it?
So it's you have a team of people, right, who are doing those answers, and then they're putting them in our pool. I mean, and it's linked to the software when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, but you kind of you just say, okay, great, like, we'd love to keep you in mind for future. Sometimes we ask them to send us their resume so that we can add it to like our just general pool.
Can I ask your thoughts on something there? Because years ago, like maybe over 10, 11 years ago, when I used to be, out contracting, people would email me, and I'm like, oh, here's this person again.
Yeah.
And I've already spoken to them, and then I get a message back on LinkedIn a few weeks later. I'm like, I've already told you I don't want this.
Oh, yeah.
And it affects poorly on the recruiter.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a system that just goes around and round.
Yeah.
If you do make contact and you say, we'll keep you in mind for another time.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, you talk to a lot of people, right? And every job that you're looking to fill has different criteria. Yeah. So we do keep them in mind. Like if they're good, we do 100% keep them in mind, because
out a photo of them, you put them up on the wall and you put it in a frame and just behind the computer. So every time you change screen, you go, oh, there's Gerry.
No, we have tags. We have tags where it's like, if they're an A player or something like that, we'll use that. Because what you do first is you go to your known people to see if any of them fit. Then next you go to your bigger pool, people that you've had some kind of touch point with. Then if none of those fit, then you go to recruiter and you build a pipeline, you reach out to strangers. But what you're trying to do is have a really established pool of strong candidates that you go to first and that are vetted and everything. So we have like ongoing coffee chats with new people to get them into our pool all the time so that they're sort of pre-vetted. Okay. And so a candidate that says, hey, I'd be interested in future, we will often be like, okay, great. Send us your resume. We'll look at the resume. If we think it's good to follow up with them and add them to our pool in a more serious way, then we'll ask for a coffee chat. And there's bandwidth and resourcing you have to think about, but that's what we try to do.
Can I ask a question around, say you've got 4 roles and they're going into a bank that's in Canada. I have no idea if you work with banks. If you do, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
They go off and they're working in there and you are kind of, they're doing their job and you're kind of maintaining connection with them. And that relationship goes on for a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
Where is the relationship at as regards maintaining the skills of those practitioners who are in the bank? Okay. Because I've often wondered the gray area. Like sometimes I'd be doing training for banks or whatever it is, and they say, look, these are all the full-time employees, and then there's the long-term contractors. We can't really bring them in.
Yeah.
It seems really kind of crappy, like they're part of the team, but they're not part of the team. Yeah. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, it depends on the client. We do have some clients that are very inclusive of their contractors, so they will bring them into trainings and stuff like that. And then you have clients that are like, well, they're being paid way more, and so they should be in charge of their own
L&D
development, right? Yeah. Sometimes they will maybe give them discounts or something if they have like a license to some training or things like that. But yeah, it's kind of 2 mindsets. It's either they're very inclusive and they feel very much a part of the team and they will bring them to trainings and just upskill the whole team together. Or it's there's a line in the sand and that's just kind of the way it is. And it's like when you decide that you're going to contract, you have to understand that like you are your own business. You represent yourself. I mean, you're always representing the companies that you're working for, Outwitly as the vendor and the client. But, things like, the software, sometimes the machine that you're using, like that's usually stuff that they provide. Depends again on the company, right? For security reasons, they might say use all our tools and machines and stuff. Yeah. But it's a cost that you have to incur essentially because you're making so much more money than you would as an employee. But you could also be like, oh, drop of a hat with there's no HR.
Absolutely. Yeah. Regularly, I got emails on a Sunday night saying, this will be your last week in a bank in Australia. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Funding for big programs of work, and it just happens.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you, because like when you started out in your business, and now it's moved into this kind of area where you're scaling talent effectively. That's not a recruiter. I had a conversation before, Sarah, and we were saying we're not really recruiting. It's more helping those teams find the right talent. Yeah. But it's still, the relationship is still with Sarah.
Yeah.
If you had a magic wand, this is a pen, okay? Or if you had a magic wand and we could go bing, and you could go back in time, what are the things that you wish you had in place and you were able to put in place to best prepare you for where you're at now?
Yeah.
What are those things that you kind of look back on and say, God, I wish I knew how to do that better way back? What are they?
I think I would have invested in senior leadership way faster.
Right.
Because
what does that look like? Senior leadership in what capacity?
Like, any of your senior people who, depends on what their title is and depends on the company that you're building and stuff. But like, essentially the people that are going to lead the team members, that I would have hired those like really smart people and chalked up, like it's hard to commit to the payroll. And that's why you don't do it in the beginning. And there's within reason, but at some point you get to a point where you can afford it. And and I'm sure many others were like, I still like having the money in my pocket. Or this still feels a little bit too risky or something, right? So waited a long time for that. And then once you bring those senior people on who can be autonomous and they can take on way more work, or they've done it better at different places, you can scale the company because you're offloaded from all of those tasks. And you can go get more business or, whatever it is that you should focus on. So I think that's for sure one of the things.
So in the early days, it seems to be like you, and I'm the same, you want to bank as much as you possibly can. So you've got money in the bank. At what point did you relinquish and say, actually, you know what, I'm going to happy to take a loss here because I'm going to invest into talent in the hope that recuperates? Around over the last 5 years, I guess you've been kind of doing this.
Yeah, I've sort of, been doing it slowly. And I think as the company became more profitable, and I would sort of look at like, okay, what was the monthly profit, not revenue, right? I think everyone gets obsessed with top line revenue, but you have to think about, is the company profitable? Because that's, let's be real, you start a business to make money. I mean, there's all the good things about it and everything, but businesses make the world run and they all make money. So
who was the first person you hired? What was the first senior leadership position that you hired? I'm always interested in what that one was. Was it finance or was
it was finance?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't like that stuff.
Yeah.
And
is this Shanna?
I liked looking at the number.
Is this
Shanna?
Shanna Small?
Yeah.
Shanna.
Yeah.
Hi, Shanna.
Hi, Shanna. She's great.
Yeah. So you hired the finance person, and then that gave you some stability in terms of like, the projections and so forth.
Yeah, and all of the she kind of just took care of all of the back end stuff, all the admin, the paying contractors. I mean, as you grow and you start having to pay so many more people, like that gets so time consuming and complicated. And invoicing on time, all of this stuff, right? I used to be really slow with my invoices, and now I'm like so mad when the contractors send their invoices in like 5-6 days late. I'm like, come on, where's the invoice?
Yeah.
And I used to do it all the time.
I know, like, well, I was never late sending invoices. Let's just say like that, because I realize when you're small at the start, is king. Like it really is. It can kill you so quickly. So now you're at like whatever, you say 25, 30 people? I don't know how many people.
20 people, and then, 50 or so contractors. And then sometimes it scales from there, but around that.
What are you seeing in the market at the moment? Because lots of people are looking for work.
Yeah.
And how is it that your business is growing?
Yeah.
And lots of people are still out there knocking on the door, especially in senior leadership positions.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a tough few years, I think, for our industry in general. Funny thing is that when the employees are being let go, contractors are being hired a lot of the time, because the companies still have stuff that needs to get done, but they're uncertain as to whether they can carry, a new headcount for X number of years. Like when you hire an employee, it's a commitment, and there's a whole thing around employees that you can't just let them go. Like, you have to put them on a performance improvement plan, and you have to have all these reasons if you needed to let them go. Right.
Sure.
And there's severance and all the things, right? So contracting actually does well in times where there's maybe more uncertainty in the economy. So that has helped. And then, I think also diversifying the industries that you work with, like tech is super hit hard, like really hard hit. But there's opportunities in government, there's opportunity in finance and other, insurance, other places.
So with contracting and businesses out there, like I totally see that the correlation between, they mitigate the risk in terms of being able to, not have to worry about severance pay and health benefits and all of that sort of the important stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
But with what you offer at the moment, is there a certain type of designer that you're finding is a little bit more easier to find work in your side?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What are they looking for?
I think it's those people that I was kind of talking about earlier, where they can do the strategy and the thinking and the research, and then they can carry it into the design. I would say people who are just mainly focused on more like heavily UI stuff or just pure UX research without the crossover into what does this mean from a strategy perspective, have a harder time. So like the people that can do that middle piece where it's like, maybe you're not doing all the research, but you can think really strategically and you can connect it to what the design should be for the business. Those people will always have work.
So where does, I hate this little letter word, AI come
I
into
know.
this? Like surely you're feeling that conversation more and more with clients where they're saying, well, can we just use AI? Do you have anyone who you can help us with this? Design an AI. Where is that at in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I've struggled with it. I have my good days and my bad days with what I think the future.
About the bad days.
I'm an optimist, so I like to focus on the good.
Glass is half empty here today, folks.
No, I think, you worry. Of course, I'm worried sometimes, I'm like, oh God, there's like AI platforms out there that are saying they can make personas or that they're, doing like Lovable, which does like UX work and like wireframes and prototypes and stuff, right? So there's tools coming out that are pretty powerful, and that it's rapidly like only going to get better quickly, right? So I have my moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm building a business that is about finding people that do this for clients, like that, that where in theory AI could replace us. And then I'm like, no, chill out for a second here. Like AI is going to make us better and faster, and the outputs more efficient, but it can't do the empathy piece. It can't do that complex thinking. It can't herd cats, which is what we do. Like you got tons of different stakeholders that have all these different opinions and perspectives and they don't get along. Like AI is not going to solve that.
100%. In terms, I keep on saying in terms of today. I don't know what's in terms of why I'm saying that. But generally, when you are engaging with clients, they might ask for, say, 5 user experience designers, like an ingredients list for a cake. But that cake is going to be, if you want, a shit sandwich. What role do you play in making sure that they're not creating a potential sandwich like that? Are you able to intervene and say, actually, you know what, it doesn't sound like you really need these kind of people. What you're actually looking for is something a little bit more further upstream, and then maybe 6 months time come back and then you'd be more ready for this. Do you provide, is that a consultancy piece, or where does that sit in the mix?
Yeah, I mean, we don't charge for that, but that is just a big part of like why our clients go to us versus, in Canada, like Deloitte, Accenture, the really big companies that also do this type of stuff. Because we're niche and we can have those strategic conversations about UX or service design or HCD resourcing and like, what's the type of person you need right now? And like, so we do have those conversations whenever a client kind of comes to us and says, hey, I need a UX designer or whatever the role is, right? And then kind of you try to probe deeper there. Like, why do you need them? What are they working on? Who are they working with? And it depends on the maturity of the organization that you're working with. I mean, I wouldn't insult like a really strong director of UX by being like, nah, are you sure you know what you're doing there with who you need? But you've got other clients who don't have that background, and they need a UX designer on their team. And that's where you can really sort of help them craft who that team member is, or how many people they need, and what they should be doing.
Can I delve into a little bit more of that sandwich that I'm talking about?
Okay, yeah.
Because I've been in those sandwiches before.
Okay.
Where you've spoken to somebody and it's, oh, sounds really cool. And then you jump in. I'm going to keep the sandwich metaphor. Okay, right? Or the analogy, which one is it? I'm not too sure. And then you find yourself in the middle of that sandwich and you're saying, actually, I don't want to be in the sandwich anymore. This is a really bad situation to be in as a designer. How do you handle that from a business owner's perspective, where you've kind of committed to the relationship, you've got the contract in place, and then you've put somebody who you believe is quite good and they're able to read the situations quite well, and you're picking the phone up to you and say, I am not going to be able to survive here.
Yeah.
That has to happen more often than not in low design.
It does happen. It for sure happens.
Can I talk about it? Because we can paint the rosy picture of like saying, hey, listen, you can make money by doing this.
Yeah.
But that is a reality. It is very tough. And you look at the statistics at the moment where designers, and in particular researchers, are burning out much quicker than any other discipline in design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk me through how you can handle that.
Yeah, you're right. I often talk about the difference between, and I feel like is whether you're a design researcher, UX researcher, service designer, design strategist, whatever the title is, but you're all kind of doing the same thing. Like, you know, you're working with the fuzzy front end, the ambiguity, and the stakeholder piece. And then the UX designers or the UX UI designers maybe have, and they might disagree, a slightly easier time. But so, oh gosh, I lost the
it's hard.
It's hard.
You're balancing those different pieces because you're going to have to let somebody down. What can you do in those situations?
Yeah. So how do we handle it? So we do. So we do get those messages from our contractors sometimes, and I think I always start with empathy because I've been in those situations too. I know what those projects are like. I know how hard it is. So because we're designers finding designers, we have designers in-house on our staff. Like we have those conversations with them that are just real. Like, tell me what's really going on. Is your PO being really difficult? Is there a difficult stakeholder? How are you navigating that? You know, is there toxicity in the team? Like, just really try to get to the root cause before saying, okay, well, you're done. Like, you know, it's really trying to actually understand. And because we've been in those situations, like we can ask the right questions to really try to get to like what's going on. And then we do a lot of coaching. Like, you know, I was on a call not that long ago with a contractor talking about this very exact type of problem. And, you know, I was talking to her about, you know, how are you leading? Like, how are you showing up? You know, are you kind of being shy and pulling back now because of these things that are happening? Or are you like stepping up, and are you also being empathetic to the other people? Right. Like we can get really caught up in, oh, well, they said this, they don't like me, they don't care about this like research, and, you know, the work that I've been trying to do means nothing. Like we have all these stories that we tell ourselves. So it's so much about mindset. So I think the first thing that I do is talk to them for real as humans, what's going on, then try to coach them on mindset piece and how to navigate the organization, and give them really tactical tips that they could try first just to see if it improves the team dynamics. And then we check in at like after 30 days. Hey, how's it going? Has it improved at all? Did you try those things? And in some cases you can talk to the client, you know, about it and have some say. And it really depends on who the client is. And if they're, you know, if they have the ability, they can try to move things. But sometimes if it's a PO or a stakeholder, they can't do anything about that.
The person who's bringing you in, and you have to say, listen, and then you're almost letting the cat out of the bag because you're saying, we know they're not happy, and they've told us you're not happy. And then it creates an extra layer of stuff to navigate for them within the organization.
So that you know, we usually let our clients know if we feel like they're really struggling or there's a flight risk there. If it's someone who's just sort of saying like, I don't know, I'm kind of it's not great. I'm not going anywhere right now. We might wait on that and just see if we can help them through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does success look like for a contractor within Outwitly? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, success is those people that can navigate stakeholders, people who can jump into any situation, ramp up really quick, love the juicy, messy stuff, and they find their way. Like, you have to be, as a contractor, very comfortable not being fully onboarded with a really long ramp up plan. You know, you don't get a 30, 60, 90-day plan when you're a contractor most of the time, right? So you have to be totally okay being a self-starter, like finding your own work to like, you know, introduce yourself to stakeholders, have coffee chats with your team, especially if you're a remote contractor. Like, it's on you to do that. Don't wait for somebody to assign you work. Don't wait for somebody to say, hey, do you want to join this meeting? Like, insert yourself.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really important, when people start to hear your voice and they get to know you. That is also very good. I think when you have people that are showing up too much like a lamb, let's say, where they're being really quiet and they're not sort of contributing to the conversation, that that still can work, because maybe that person is totally going to be happy doing that and being quiet and stuff like that. But if they're being quiet because they feel like they can't raise their voice, but they internally they want to, that's another issue, right? So anyway, that was a long ramble, but I feel like those are some things.
It is like, and the reason why I was calling that out, Sarah, is there's people listening here at the moment who may sense that in the near future they may be retrenched, made redundant, whatever it is. And it gives them an opportunity to really start positioning and thinking themselves, okay, well, if the future looks like it might be more of a gig economy, more contracting as a thing, this is what's expected of you. These are the things that you can get ahead of. And obviously, if you're in Canada, you can contact Sarah, and like,
exactly.
There's those kind of obvious connections to be made here in this podcast. But if you're out there and you're anywhere in the world, like, I've done contracting before, it is not the same as a freelance piece. It's not the same as going into a full-time role and just getting paid more money. There's certain responsibilities that you have to be able to do, and you need to be a self-starter. So it does favor, in my experience, a certain behavioral type where people are a little bit more willing to get out of their comfort zone. To be more vulnerable, I guess, as well, and try new things. But generally speaking, that's the business model that you're going after at the moment at Outwitly. So I wish you the very best of luck, Sarah, in all of this. It sounds like you're doing, you don't need any luck. You don't need any of the boom. But if people want to follow your journey, I know you're talking about a rebrand and all of this kind of stuff. Hopefully I haven't let the cat out of the bag. But if they want to follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Definitely on my LinkedIn. So just Sara Fortier on LinkedIn. And
is your LinkedIn optimized?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to check that now to make sure. I'll put a link to your LinkedIn in the show notes. And I'll also put a link to outwitly.com.
Yeah, that's great.
And if you're in the area of Winnipeg, do you in any other major cities in Canada yet?
Well, we are North America, so we have clients all across the US and across Canada. So
congratulations! What a success story it is! It's brilliant to hear. That there's businesses that have come out of that. The second one today, I've met where literally post-COVID, there's just been this opportunity and capitalize on it. So absolutely hats off to you.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic to speak to you. Listen, wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me on.
$10x your service design offering with Smapply. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smapply.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smapply, helping support This Is HCD podcast.